Welcome to AmplifAI Voices. I'm Nadia Domenick of Amplify Strategies, where we help specialty manufacturers, construction, and trade professionals amplify their efficiency, growth, and profit using AI solutions. Today, we have an exciting conversation with Rick Medlen, the CEO of GarageSkins. If you've watched any HGTV, you might have come across their innovative product that's transforming how homeowners upgrade their garage doors. Their success has been amazing. They are rapidly scaling their production in order to meet the overwhelming consumer demand. GarageSkins has created a revolutionary solution that gives homeowners the luxury look of real wood doors, but at a fraction of the price. Rick is here to give us some insights on manufacturing innovation, scaling a family business, and how they're disrupting the $457 billion home improvement industry with their innovation. Rick, welcome to AmplifAI Voices.
Thank you, Nadia. Great to be here.
Pleasure to have you. So you have this amazing product that we had a brief conversation that I just absolutely would love for myself. And so why don't you tell us about how you got started, the origin, what inspired the creation of GarageSkins?
Well, it was really one of those things that the product didn't exist and I wanted it to. So we just kind of took it from idea all the way through to fruition now. But I had a small house built just outside of Eugene, Oregon, back in 2005. While they were doing that, we watched them do, faux stone on the outside, the cultured stone. We did stamped and stained concrete, all of these products that are designed to look like much more expensive products than they really are. But they're easy to install, mass market, so they're very affordable. At the same time, there was a subdivision just down the road that they were building with these beautiful wood garage doors. And it just really set everything apart. So I thought, I'd like to do that with my house. But I went to the builder and he said, I really don't want to do it. We'd have to upgrade the framing, all of the headers and all of the support system to handle the extra weight. And he said, you can do that, but you just have to do it after you get in the house. So I thought, well, we'll find a product that is a faux product, kind of like cultured stone or any of these other appliques, and we'll just do that. Got in the house, started looking around, and there was absolutely nothing out there. 10 years, 15, 20 years later, I know why there was nothing out there, because it's a very difficult product to build. And, and there's a lot of engineering that went into actually making it work. But at that point, didn't know any of that. I just thought, well, we'll have some fun. So went down to Home Depot, bought some plywood, stained it up, cut it, glued it onto the garage door, and thought, this is going to be beautiful. And then I hit the button and of course nothing happened because it was way too heavy for the garage door to open. And so there was challenge number one. How do you make something lightweight? And so we just really shelved it until about 2012. But then Shark Tank came on and started watching that. Really kind of caught the entrepreneurial bug just watching that. And I thought, some of these ideas are great. Some of them are not that good, but they're still being commercialized. I thought, we've got a good idea for this garage door overlay thing. It's time to start putting some money into it. So quit my job, cashed in my 401k, just went all in on this thing, leased an 8,000 square foot building and just really went to town trying to develop this. Did a lot. I mean, we really got a long way. We actually got to a point to where we put it on the market. And I think we sold 5 in the first day of just having a website up, which was phenomenal, except now we have to build them. So it took 3 weeks to build them, got them shipped, got them out in the real world, and they just fell apart. No proper engineering, no proper planning or any development testing or anything like that behind it. So we shut the website down, licked my wounds quite a bit, gave everybody their money back, and really started doing it the right way. So we engaged with some entrepreneurial groups there in Eugene and were able to get the patents filed, start walking down the road of getting investment money. And then, here it is 10 years later. We've raised several $1 million behind this thing. We have a 60,000 square foot factory. Like you said, we're on HGTV. We're all over the internet and starting to reach into the builder market and the dealer market. So yeah, it's been quite a journey and one that I never, ever thought I would go on myself.
That sounds an amazing journey. And the risk that you took, cashing your 401k, that's a big one. So you're an engineer, you take this unique product, and then you had some challenges, but your challenges are continuing, right? Every day is a learning opportunity too. So what was one of the biggest challenges that you had in mass producing this in order to get it out?
Well, nobody's done this before. Is truly a lot of the processes and things that we do, it goes through an 18-step process to actually be able to manufacture one of these, because we had 3 very critical design criteria. One of them was it had to look like a real wood door once it was on. And that's not just from 30 feet away from the street. That means when you're standing there with your hand on it, you cannot be able to tell that that's not a real wood door. So that's a challenge. Well, that means we have to use real wood. We can't use some sort of a plastic or vinyl like, and there's a lot of that out there in the garage door business, but you can really tell that with your eye. Even from a long way away, you'd know that that's vinyl, not wood. Second is it had to be very, very lightweight so that we didn't have to replace motors and springs. That people could literally just snap it on and the garage door goes up and down like it's supposed to. And then third is it had to last. If you think about it, we're putting wood on the outside of a garage door vertically. That's going to get hit with rain, snow,
Yeah.
huge humidity fluctuations, UV in the south, all these horrible things that are going to happen to this thing. And it has to last because we can't put a product out that 2 years later is falling apart. So every one of those brought its own challenges in the manufacturing side of things is, how do you take a wood veneer, which is less than a millimeter thick, make that impervious to weather without just turning it into plastic, which we didn't want to do because then we'd lose the first design criteria.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like wood. So we've worked through all of that. We've had some just amazing suppliers and some outside people give us great guidance. We're fortunate, 20 years ago, we couldn't do this, but there is now technology that allows us to stabilize the wood so that it doesn't move and it can get wet and do all the things that it's going to do without losing any structural integrity. How do you glue a very lightweight foam core substrate to wood? That's not been done. Nobody's doing that out in the marketplace. So we figured out ways to do that. But then, of course, every time you figure out a way to do it, then you have to figure out a way to do it to scale, buy the right equipment, these massive pumps and all of these things that we had to do, go in, completely restructure the factory to be able to do this. So without getting into the details, because there's a lot of, trade secrets that go into this too.
Yes, of course.
It's just people that walk in there. I mean, they walk in just expecting to see a cabinet shop. And they walk out with their eyes about that wide open with all of the new technology that they've seen and all the new processes that we've developed.
Wow, that's amazing. So over this time period, these years, how has your manufacturing process evolved since starting?
Well, we had the basic concept. I mean, we had worked that out just in a garage, basically, just how we're going to do the pressing, what glue to use, what types of wood to use, what types of substrates, what types of magnets, because these panels, you just pick them up and snap them magnetically onto a steel door. So we have to have magnets that are embedded. We'd worked all of that out on paper, done a few prototypes, but really when you start looking at how to do it correctly, the manufacturing side of things takes on a whole new life of its own. We went from just one very tiny line. We'd raised enough capital to get the building, get some significant equipment in there. But we really, when we started, didn't really know what we were doing with it. So got all the equipment wired up and then we just started experimenting. And really, to anybody that's out there, I appreciate engineers. I was trained as one, but I had the fortune to go to work for Martin Marietta back in 1986. And I was in the prototype world, which was fantastic because the engineers would do all of their drawings and everything. They would order in all the material and the parts. Then they would hand it to us and we would close the door and lock it and nobody got to come in. And so we put this thing together the way they drew it up and it never worked. Of course, everybody in manufacturing knows that it never works. So we figured out how to make it work, what the real parts were, what the real schematics were that needed to be done. Then we handed it back to the engineers. They would go through that process again, get it back in, then we'd build something that worked. So I had been through this prototyping world enough to know that, just because you can't do it today doesn't mean that you can't figure it out tomorrow. So we just kept pushing and pushing, changing, experimenting, picking up the phone, calling people that were in the industry. You've run into this problem. What do we do? It's just been a really fun, I would say, thought experiment, but it's been a very expensive, real world thought experiment to go into this because you take a machine that you thought was going to work and it costs you $60,000 to get it. And then it doesn't work and there's no used market for it. So you've just sunk $60,000. Now you have to go out and spend $80,000 to get the right machine. It's just iteration after iteration of that, but we've got it figured out now and we're mass producing.
Well, I love that from engineer to entrepreneur and now is not forever and perseverance. I think that's amazing. Everything is one step at a time, solving each problem as it comes up. And the fact that you had the prototype experience is amazing. How do you maintain quality while scaling the product? You just said have it down pat and you're mass producing it, but how do you maintain your quality while scaling at such a rapid pace?
That's an incredible question. And it's one that the two things that scaling manufacturing businesses always fail on are marketing, and they never spend enough money or enough intention on marketing, because a lot of times these are engineer driven projects and engineers just think if you build it, somebody's going to buy it. But, of course, the marketing people know that that's absolutely not the case. And then the second thing that they lack on is quality. They always just figure, well, if we build enough of these, or tomorrow we'll do better, something like that. But there's not a lot of intentional, okay, how do we make this the best thing that we can put out the door? We made those mistakes, of course, looking at, because at one point we had, I think, 420 orders in backlog
Oh,
to
wow.
build. And we weren't building that many. So it starts piling up on itself and becoming its own issue. So once we're able to build these things fast, we built them fast, and we built them too fast, shipped them out, ended up with a bunch of remakes, a bunch of quality issues in the field. That really changed our attention. And so now we have two very good quality managers that their entire world is nothing but looking at the product, not just as a finished product, but also back along the line as people are completing their tasks and each cell is producing whatever they produce. They're looking at that and saying, okay, is this good enough? If it's not good enough, what's the process upstream of that we can change to make it good enough, so that we're catching these things before they go in a box and out the door. And our quality issues have gone significantly downhill. I'm not saying that they're not still there. And I think they're always going to be there, which means that we have to keep a laser attention to that. But just looking at things, not just as a finished product, but all the way upstream, making sure that all of our processes are locked down and everybody's trained to and held accountable for following those processes has been critical.
So it sounds like your product's perfect at this point. Like you've really nailed it. But as technology improves, are you also looking at that and integrating it into your product?
Well, our next step, and I know that your AI centered on this
Yes.
particular podcast, we're starting to incorporate a little of that kind of ancillary, on the edges. But our next step is into automation. We know that doing this by hand, there's going to be a certain head level that we can't push past in the facility we've got. And we don't really want to go out and take on a, 750,000 square foot factory when we can do that right here. So we're starting to in fact, we just brought a professor from the University of Idaho that has a fantastic real world experience
Mm.
and he started looking around. There's 4 or 5 processes that we can immediately automate with equipment that's really out there right now. So that's our next step, is really just to step into that. But then also along the way, start looking at the processes that are a little harder to automate and start doing some design work around maybe one-off machinery that we can create to do that. One thing that is helping us is our maintenance. Some of our equipment is very complicated, not just in the operations side, but in the maintenance side too. We need to keep these things running well, helping us with creating and executing our maintenance plans on all of this crazy equipment that we've got in there. It's an interesting thing because they are connected all over the United States. Well, I think all over the world. So they've got real world data that's feeding these AIs. So what's happening already is that they are feeding us real time information from other factories saying, wait a minute, your maintenance interval on this particular thing is 6 months. But what we're finding is that at 4 months, we're having failure rates. So let's bump that up to 4 months or maybe even 3 months on a maintenance. And, that way we can catch it. We can catch it in time without just going in and kind of blindly doing things to be
Right.
ahead of the curve. So really great on that. We've got 2 other AI tools that we're using on the marketing side.
Mhm.
And one is, if you go onto our website, garageskins.com, you'll see a little chat bot.
Mhm.
To see ours, you actually just talk to it. Well, you can go on there and talk to it just like you and I are talking right now. It will answer. We were able to, instead of it just going out and finding information on the web, because there's a lot of misinformation from garage door dealers and stuff that have never seen the product, we were able to actually craft a 33-page document that has all the correct information in it. So as you talk, and I would ask you to do this or any of your viewers to just go on garageskins.com, open up that chat bot and just start talking to it about the product. It's phenomenal. The way that AI is now able to craft conversations just like you and I are talking. It's crazy.
Is it
Mm.
right?
But a third thing that we just launched last week, and I'm glad I'm on here talking about this, is that we now have the ability for you to pick up your phone, type in app.garageskins.com and go out into your driveway, point the phone at your garage. It will, through AI, it will find the garage door. Then it will snap one of our systems onto it and stay there as you move around. You can change the color, the pattern. You can order from this bot. It's really phenomenal. And there's a lot of different things like that out there for siding, for windows. Nobody's attacked the garage door. And now we know why, because it's taken us over a year to do this and 12,000 images trained. It is. And we own this. So we just filed worldwide patent on this because it doesn't exist in the
Another
garage door at all.
another
So
innovative product.
yeah, it's fantastic. And you never know, at some point that might be more valuable than the actual product itself. So
Well, listen, $457 billion home improvement market, right?
right.
Who
Yeah.
knows where that's going?
So we're excited about that. That was purely AI and AR, but AI is the guts behind it because
Absolutely.
it's the one that's got it.
It's driving. And I'm glad you say that you're branching out, you're moving forward, and you're seeing the future. AI will make so many things easier, just like it has with GarageSkins. But your product is flying off the shelf. It sounds like you've already integrated a lot of AI that is helping you streamline and make yourself more efficient. Aside from that, if you had a magic wand and if you think about your business and how it's operating, what would you want that magic wand to fix for you that's either slowing you down or you're not moving as fast as you would like to do?
Well, I think that on the marketing side, and I know there are tools that are just coming out and maybe your company is involved in this too, but
We do marketing, yeah.
to really truly laser down on your ideal customer. There's a lot of people that say that, but really they're just crunching spreadsheets. It's not really truly saying, okay, this is a person that they have this tendency to purchase at this price range. They're home improvement enthusiasts, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, there's a lot of images of their house out there through Google and Zillow.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at their house. We can laser in and say, okay, it's got this particular door, which is compatible with the product. Let's feed them a rendering of the front of their house with a garage skin on it, just as a cold email, or even, something on their Instagram or something that will, pop into their mind. I know there's privacy issues and licensing issues around that, but I think on the marketing side, there's still a lot to be done with AI and with all of those pathways to be able to identify that one particular customer that we're really after. I think on the production side, it's going to be more automation. Some of that will have AI components to it, but we still have to
Processes,
physically
efficiency.
pick it up. And until Elon starts dropping robots in my parking lot to come in and actually manufacture these things for us, which might be 5 years from now, who knows?
I was going to say, I don't think that's that far off.
Believe me, I know. I joke
I don't
about
think
it,
that's
but
that far off.
we've got a big parking lot, so we're good with that. But I think it's more on the people interaction that the AI is going to start doing. There's already financial tools that we're using to be able to, manipulate the data and stuff that comes in, the financial spend. That's all going through all the AI stuff anyway. So that's gotten us from a staff of we should have about 5 accounting people. We have 1 now,
Yeah.
and he's well able to handle the workload with just the tools that we have in place.
With the AI tools. Yep. Streamlines everything. So what is your ideal marketing population?
This is broad stroke, but homeowner, absolutely, or a builder. So we're finding that there's traction with builders that are doing subdivisions because they can differentiate themselves from the other 50 subdivisions that are around them by adding our product. They can add a value add to the customer, but also they can raise their price. So there's actually profit potential for them there. But on the direct to consumer side, it is a homeowner, typically suburban dwelling. We don't have a lot of urban traction because the garage doors are such weird, crazy sizes. When you get into the inner cities, don't even have the garages. They just have parking lots. Median to higher income, and I would say probably in the 60 to 80 percentile range. There's a certain point that there's enough funds in the bank that if they want a wood garage door, they just go buy a wood garage door for $18,000, $20,000. But our product, the 60 to 80, maybe 85 percentile income range is great. Typically somebody that has home improvement trends, 100% female. We are driven by, and I think the studies say that, the women control the purse strings in the house, but they also control the look and the feel, the ambiance of the home. To a guy, a garage door, again, broad stroke, but to a guy, the garage door is something that keeps the cat in, keeps the weather out, it goes up and down, everything's great. Who cares whether it's ugly or not? Gals, they want that beautiful look when they come up to the front of their house. It completes it. They've spent a lot of money on all of the other things that go into the exterior and interior of a house. But the garage door is just this continued $800 builder grade white garage door that they don't know what to do with.
I'll confirm that because as I pull up my driveway and my garage door needs to be changed, I'll confirm that. But I know I did read your website and I know that you were looking for that beautiful wood
Yeah.
look garage too. So
But
that's
only because there was a subdivision right next to me that
okay.
had one. I had never even thought about doing a nice garage door. I just thought it's just like concrete. Yeah, it's just concrete. It's functional, but that's it. Until I saw, and so that's why visual advertising is so important to us. And this AI tool that we've got on the phone now, I think is going to greatly improve our closing ratio. And now it's up to us to just get the word out about that, which we're already starting to do.
Well, hopefully this helps you too.
Thank you.
So what changes have you observed in consumer preferences?
Consumers have gotten smarter and smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
I think
There's a
the
lot of tools
days
out
of
there. Yeah.
people sitting on Amazon all night and just ordering everything that comes up on their feed are gone. People are really smart with their money now. Our product is in the $3,000 range, so it's not just a instant purchase type of a thing. We have noticed that consumers will shop us, and constantly it's like, you have an expensive product, I'm going to go find it cheaper elsewhere. And then 2 weeks later, they come back to us and say, well, there is no other solution other than just either paying a guy the same amount of money to do a faux wood look, who knows what that's going to look like, or
Hmm.
getting a vinyl wrap for $100 and, using your blow dryer to put it on, which is everybody knows is going to look horrible. So they come back to us, they bite the bullet, and then constantly, I mean, day after day after day, we get the feedback that, we weren't sure about the product. We went ahead and ordered it anyway once it's installed. And then we get these before and after photos that are just phenomenal. People are just ecstatic with the product once they get it on. So I think, the consumer trends have changed. Companies like us advertising out there it's worthless anymore. It's you telling somebody else that you like the product, all of this viral feeding and sharing and all this stuff. And Google recognizes that. If you're doing that, your Google rating goes through the roof.
Google, Facebook.
Yeah, everybody. And by the way, I hope people know it. Facebook has just last week completely changed their entire algorithms. And
Yes, we know.
it's horrible. I
We
mean,
know.
what you have to do now to even get on their radar is
Yeah.
phenomenal. And that's it. It's going to stop the companies, and it's going to start you telling your friends and other friends. And that's what's going to get traction out there. So we've got a lot of that already. We're really, really big in the home improvement
Yeah.
influencer world.
That was my next question. How has social media and HGTV
Yeah.
exposure impacted your business? I was going to
It, it's
go
been
there.
everything. We didn't even know because, we're in a generation that didn't pay a lot of attention to social media influencing.
Right.
Until somebody contacted us and said, hey, I have 150,000 followers. We would like to do a trade, get your product. We'll show it off. We did that just kind of as a flyer. Didn't really even know what to expect. That gal put up just one TikTok post and within 18 hours had 650,000 views.
Wow.
So yeah. And so we've just built on that and built on it. And of course, they're all interconnected with each other.
Yes.
So as one sees it, then the next one contacts us. So we've actually got our influencers. We do 2 a week, and they're scheduled through the end of the year with
Oh,
a
wow.
whole lot more to come. And because of that, now we're able to be a little more picky and choosy about who we want to, we want to make sure the audience is right.
Correct.
And, it's going to fit their garage door. They're going to love it, all those kind of things. So it's been everything to us. And anybody that's launching a brand new, especially a consumer product, get with the influencer crowd. Whether you have to pay for those introductions, whatever it is, it's worth it. It's worth every penny.
That's good insight for specialty manufacturers like you who are starting out with a smaller, one product and before they move on. So that's great insight. Thank you for sharing. So where do you see the home improvement industry heading and what's next for GarageSkins?
The home improvement industry, with interest rates still high, I know they're starting to inch their way down, but
Yeah.
we've seen a trend in the last 2 to 3 years of people just nesting in. They would like to change. Maybe even their income level has increased to a point to where they could afford the next little house up. But the payments, the interest rates that are along with that have just kind of locked them down. We're not in a market where people are just writing checks for new houses.
Mhm.
So, it's still a mortgage driven business. The interest rates are everything on that. So with them still being in the 5 to 6 range, it's locked people down, but they still have discretionary funds. And as they look at that, they've already got the car, kids' soccer is paid for, all of that stuff. Now they're starting to pay attention to their home. And in fact, when COVID hit, I think Home Depot for those next 2 years had record numbers because nobody could leave. Nobody could do anything, but they still want to do something. So our product fits directly into that.
Yeah. I was one of those people. Renovated my bathroom.
Exactly. Exactly. You've got the time and you've got so funds to do
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
And
That
so,
was my COVID project.
yeah,
Exactly.
I just think that's going to continue. I think the new products that are out there, like I said, consumers are becoming much smarter, but they're also becoming much more value driven. They don't want to pay millions of dollars, but they want $1 million product to get
Right.
there. So companies that can launch like we did a product that looks like a $20,000 garage door, but really only costs $3,000, those companies are going to survive. There's always the Mercedes end of
Mhm.
things. They're going to go through the builder. They're going to survive. They're going to do great. We're seeing that the more expensive products that really don't have that value add are starting to really, really, if not disappear, at least tighten up significantly. Because if you can buy something that's 95% quality for 3,000 or buy 100% quality for 10,000, the consumers are going to the 3,000 now. And that's not necessarily what they would have done 5 years ago.
Well, the money was a lot cheaper to borrow 5 years ago than it
Right.
is today. So,
Absolutely. And
the things
401ks look better and everybody felt more wealthy.
exactly. That's a cyclical thing as well in
It is.
trending. But your product is beautiful, and you've shared a lot of advice because so it's interesting. Your whole everything you've been saying it were questions I would ask you, but you've already shared. My next question was, what advice would you give manufacturers starting out? And you have shared some wonderful advice that other manufacturers in this space or the home improvement space. But if there's any other pearls you'd like to share,
I would make sure you're well capitalized with labor costs going up, leasing costs going up, insurance is going through the roof.
yeah,
All of these costs that are kind of hidden costs in business, make sure that you're aware of that. Get somebody around you. Go into the manufacturing extension programs that every state has. Just phenomenal wealths of information. They've got access to all of the government data that's current. You can go into this with your eyes wide open. And what you think is going to cost you $10 million, I guarantee you is going to cost you 20.
yeah,
So just make sure that you're well capped, that whether it's your money, family money, or there's outside investor money, that they're prepared for all of those next steps that are along the way, because they will be writing extra checks as you do that.
yeah, yeah. Good advice. Good
It's a
advice.
daunting thing. There's a reason everybody went to China for a while.
Yeah, exactly. But we want to keep that in the US.
Absolutely. And we are fully US based. We only have one product that we bring in, or one component that we bring in that's from outside. And that's because nobody else makes it. So
I love that. So now you did say that so for you, the best way to reach for consumers to reach GarageSkins is through the website?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
So and
garageskins.com.
garageskins.com. And any final thoughts for homeowners considering a garage door upgrade?
Just some data points. There's been some recent studies come out by house.com that show
Yeah.
that you have, for a new garage door, and this is a full price brand new garage door, you have 196 ROI when you sell the house. But 196%, excuse me, ROI. But if you get a garage skin, then you bump that up to probably 500 to 600%, because of course our cost is significantly less, but you still have the same look.
Same look.
Plus, for the realtor side of things, if you put a little bit of lipstick on your garage door by adding a garage skin, your eyeballs are just gonna, the house clicks, the Zillow clicks, all of that stuff is really gonna significantly go up. Yeah, it's data point driven, but then also there's that fuzzy side that, every time you drive into your driveway, you're gonna fall in love with your house all over again.
Yeah. It's that, oh, I love it. Look, when you feel
Oh
like
yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm home.
agreed. But it's interesting that you said that, for the price point that you're charging, because it used to be from a realtor's point of view, paint, put a coat of paint on it. But a coat of paint is expensive. And GarageSkins does the same thing at a fraction of the price.
Absolutely, and you can do it in 20 minutes. And houses, so one of the things that's kept us out of the realtor market is the turnaround time, because we're 3 to 4 weeks out from shipping.
Mm.
So of course a realtor wants the house on the market. They want it sold that weekend. And they used to be able to expect that. Now houses don't do that anymore. So they've got time to really come in, do the landscaping, do the touch ups, get the garage skin on, and really make that a marketable product before it hits.
Well, Rick, you've given us a lot of real world insights into manufacturing an innovative product that not only, as you said, adds curb appeal, but resale value for homes.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us on Amplified Voices. I'm Nadia Domenick of Amplified Strategies, where we help specialty manufacturers, construction, and trade professionals amplify their business. Thanks for joining us, Rick.
Thank you.